Why are you single? You're too pretty to be single. Why are you single? I'm single because I have 5 kids.
How many kids does a female have to have for you not to be interested in her?
1. For real, like 1.
1.
2, and that shit is dumb.
Okay, so there's a guy that keeps asking if he can take me out to dinner. So I said, look, if I can get a free night this weekend or this week, let's go. So I just sent him a text and said, hey, look, my week's looking kind of crazy. I'm going to have to go grocery shopping at some point. I'm going to have to start homeschooling the older 2 due to distance learning. I still have to take the baby to preschool and pick her up from preschool. That's not mentioning laundry and dishes and vacuuming and dusting and cleaning bathrooms and still going to work in the afternoon. And on top of that, we have a storm rolling in. So I said, I'm going to have to go get the wood splitter from my ex so I can get some wood down to the house because it's my only source of heat. I got to get some wood stacked. He texts back, okay, sounds good. Got to thinking about it, and I'm not trying to f with a single mom anyways. Glad I dodged that bullet. It sounds like a shit show.
I've just come to the conclusion I'm done being single. Stepdaddy applications now being accepted from anyone.
I wanted you to give your stance on single moms because you do post a lot of, I don't want to say hatred, but like kind of the negative side of it. It's the side I haven't seen as a single mom. So I don't know your stance on it before I disagree with it. But I do disagree with what I've seen on the channel. They're all good videos and they are truthful, but there's never like when you say you hold both sides accountable, there's never like a balance with the single motherhood. And I don't know if it's just the Manosphere, because as far as I know, pretty much everybody in the Manosphere is like, hate single moms, you're trash,
And see, I wonder if many of these women seek balance in the conversations and opinions thereof when viewing videos about men. You agree there's truth in these videos, but just want to disagree because you don't like what's being said.
It was legit. But when I go into the comments and I make a comment about, man, these women are trash, but there is another side to being a single mom, then of course I get your followers who are like, we're watching you. And I don't know your stance on it. That's what I'm saying, because from what I hear, it said that, single moms are kind of at the lowest of the totem pole for dating. But then on the flip side, you and other men promote the get therapy, work on yourself. So it's like, why am I working on myself if I'm at the lowest part of the option pool?
Huh? That's the whole point of it, right? Is if you need work, if you feel like you're at the bottom of the option pool, then you need to improve your chances by improving your value and what you offer a man. That's the whole point of these conversations. See, they continuously miss what men are saying.
So like, let's say I have someone that's calling me for like coaching or something like that. And, let's say that they ask me, should I date this single mother? And, you got to look at every situation within the context. If they're young, if they're beginning stages in their life, they haven't figured out their life yet, they got a lot of places to go within life, I suggest that they not. Why? Because you're taking on her as well as her child. You're taking on a bill that you don't necessarily need to put within your life. You're putting an additional barrier within your life, and it wasn't your decision. So I make sure that men understand those options, because like I tell on the channel all day, is that you have to be very intentional about the steps that you are taking in life. And if you do not understand what this is and what it can lead it down to, and also for me specifically, I'd rather not a pre-made family. So we could start from those 2 positions. I guess, what do you disagree with those 2 positions?
Well, I guess because I'm older, I don't agree that anyone coming into my life would be taking on that extra burden, and I guess I just don't understand it because it's never happened for me in dating. And really, until I started like watching your videos and Kevin Samuels, I wasn't aware of how big a problem it was. And I don't know if black men just weren't voicing it, or they never voiced it directly to me.
No, they're not voicing it. No, before this space, listen, I grew up in the 90s. Oh, we're kind of like the same age, but I grew up in a time period where it was men were shit on for not dating single mothers. And I remember this specifically. And men are shamed for the decision to choose not to date single mothers, right? Like, and I think because of the information in the space, now dudes can finally say, yes, this is what I've been actually thinking, da-da-da. But then also they have talking points to some of kind of the negative repercussions, right? Like, and I don't think necessarily that there's situations where there's not any influence from a child, because then you gotta, you're right, like, let's say you guys want to live together, right? Where's the child gonna go? Child's gonna live with y'all. Is he ready to be a father? Is he ready to be a stepfather? Right? Like, what stage of life is he in? Right? Like, because now he has to put baby or child things ahead of his own goal, his own life. And I think that when we consider the value of men, and that most men, all men, have to create their value. They have to use their 20s to be as accurate in their life as possible, to make the greatest decisions as early as possible, strategic as possible, so that they can rise and ascend and build a kingdom, so that they can let the drawbridge down for the highest option, the highest suitor, the highest bidder. And if you settle too early with another bill, it can significantly slow down or hamper that process. And I think, like, it's okay for dudes to say that they could like you, but they also don't want a family.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, that's fair. But then, if that's the case, then should we assume that all single moms should just kind of just end their life once they have a child?
Lady, are you listening to what he's saying at all? He just explained what he was coming from, and this is why it's hard to talk to a lot of these women. You're speaking a totally different language.
But like I said, when I watch the videos, and your videos about women who are single moms who are trash, it's shocking to me because I don't see any of those. So I wonder, like, does he see any videos, or do you see any proof of single moms who have rehabbed themselves, went to therapy, and were still able to not even garner a high value man, but just a reasonable partner?
It's not to say that there's not success stories within the space. What I'm saying is that the mantra in society is that men must sacrifice to get what they want. And they must then sacrifice early in their life to be in love. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you should recalibrate how men are thinking to create the best version of men. And then later on in life, they can let down the drawbridge to the highest option within that. Your son in college comes home to you and says, you know, I met a young girl, she's 25, 26 something years old or something like that, and she has a baby or two, right? She's got a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or something like that. Would you want that for your son, or would you tell him to slow down and wait and to be measured within how he's dating?
I would definitely tell him to slow down.
And that's what I'm telling young men.
And I'm gonna just say this, right? I mean, being a single mother does not necessarily eliminate you worthy or valuable to a man. I know some guys automatically might look elsewhere, and that's their prerogative. I get it, and I get why. But I think I've seen where some men can step in. I think for the most part, for women, what they need to understand is you got to understand what it means to that man as well, right? It's a certain level of liability. So you got to understand the impact that's going to have on that man. So you want to be as much of an asset as you can in other phases of your life. I mean, if you can make up for it and be a great woman that has their shit together, not just the money, guys that come into your life that could potentially make it better and help stabilize it along with yourself, they don't owe you for those other guys' mistakes or for the reasons why those other relationships didn't work out. As much as you raise your expectations, you also got to raise your expectations of yourself and give that man something in return for his value, in return for what he's investing. And I think for a lot of women, they think what they give is enough. And whatever things and baggage they come with, it's just what it is, and the guy has to accept it.
You're on a business trip. You guys are businessmen. You're doing your thing. You're traveling. You meet this beautiful girl. She's classy. She's successful. She's smart. You really enjoy her company. She's 27 years old. She's an accountant. She makes $100,000 a year, and she has a 3-year-old son. The good news is he's potty trained. Where do you gentlemen with no kids that I know about go from here? McQueen.
What are you doing? She's just getting hit and that's it.
Damn.
Would you lie to her to get in her pants, or would you be like, yeah, I'm only here to fuck? Like,
Well, I mean, if I do I know that she has a kid from the get-go?
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Then yeah, no. I mean, I'm just immediately just trying to fuck. That's it for sure.
That's
No,
it.
would
So
you
that
tell
is-
her that?
Yeah.
I made this mistake last time
Oh.
and found out the hard way. That's actually kind of how I
too
came
bad.
upon some of these podcasts about
Really?
the red pill stuff. Yeah, I
what
think
was the situation?
I'm sorry.
single mom had been divorced. I think the problem is that men look at that very differently than the women do. It's hard to get our perspectives to be aligned, right? So
Okay.
her perspective was very defensive. It wasn't, I made bad choices in life that brought me here. I'm grateful someone's given me a chance. It was, my kid's amazing. I'm amazing. You're lucky to be here. It was very hard to get on the perspective I had, which was, this is definitely not ideal. I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm expecting quite a bit of appreciation on it. And they
Sure.
were like, I don't owe you anything.
Thanks,
Some
feminism,
other guys.
right? Am I right?
And it was like, that was a bad investment.
If you see right there off the top, he mentioned appreciation.
I don't avoid single moms. I've dated a few single moms, but I've found a selfish trait amongst most of them. There's not one single mom that I haven't dated who has not said something to the effect of, you know, what's important about you being around is I want my kid to see his or her mother being loved right. And I'm like, what do you want, fucking make out in front of the kid? He's already confused enough as it is. He's wondering, where's dad and who the fuck is this? That's all the kid is wondering. Any of us that had step parents and shit, most of us met our step parents like 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's drunk and it's like, son, Jim is here because your father ain't shit. And it's like very confusing. So I really do take children and their youth and upbringing and innocence very serious. So really, I don't give a shit what the mom wants. I'm thinking in terms of like, what's best for the kid that you have. I'll think for your kid before you do and think all this is gonna bring him is confusion. You need to completely keep these worlds separate.
And that's another dynamic I think women don't really necessarily care about or put a lot of thought into, because that can drain the relationship as well. Even if the guy has all the right intentions, the kid might not have the type of chemistry that is conducive for that. All they want to do most of the time is get back with their biological parent. They're wondering why it's not working out. They want to get back together with their real father. A guy moving in or, getting married, any type of commitment is just gonna shut the door on that. So as a man, you have all those type of things to think about.
Don't look around. Look right at me. Raise your red or your green. Should men date single moms? Hold it up high. Hold it up high. Pixie, we have... Okay, guys, I don't flicker it.
They're in between.
We have red, we have green, 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 green. So most of it is green. 4 or 5 of you is red. So Tracy, you put your green up because you're a single mom. Yes. Tell us on why one of these gentlemen should be your new boy toy, baby daddy situation.
No, I think that there's people in the world for everybody. I don't think anyone should be my son's father. I think someone that's gonna come to my life will love me and eventually end up loving my son, but I am not looking for a baby daddy. I am looking for a partner.
I'm listening
And
very
that's the
closely to
difference.
this one.
So nobody's replacing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So what would you say to the guy that's like, I don't even know, you're hot, you're cool, you're great. I can't even get over the fact that you have a kid, and as dope as you are, I'm mentally blocked.
then
That's kinda
that
what you're
means
saying
that
here?
that's not the person for me.
And I have no
I'll
clue.
say
Yeah.
first of all, as there's a lot of single moms who have given single moms like myself a really bad rap, and they use men for resources, and they put their children before their serious committed persons, whoever, if they're married or not, before their needs, like their spouse's needs, right? And I don't agree with that if it's a long-term serious thing. So I think that that's to be said for why probably a lot of you, and more reason you said, I don't want to raise two kids, and that's honest, and I appreciate that. However, what I will say, the men that I've met and that I've dated and that have proposed to me, they wanted to marry me and they wanted to be a stepfather to my son if I wanted that, right? Now, the thing about me that's different from most women is, even though I'm very masculine in how I'm speaking now because I'm trying to make a point, I'm very feminine, and I let the man take the lead. And I don't try to say, my son and I are so cool, we're the best. No, I let a man be gracious to me because I'm feminine and I serve his needs. I make sure his sexual needs are served. I make sure that his tummy is full. And my son never goes without, trust me. He's been to 14, 15 countries already.
Yeah.
So I think the difference is that some men, no disrespect to y'all,
Right.
are not cut out for that because it takes a very extremely high alpha man, I think, that would be willing to say, listen, I saw all of you grimace. I watched all your facial expressions. Hold on, let me finish momentarily. That will be willing to step in and raise someone else's son. That takes a very brave, bold man. And there are men out there in the world who will do it when they see the value of a woman that's serving them and saying, listen, yes.
Did you say that there were men that openly came into your life and wanted
Yes.
to help raise your kid?
Yes.
Where are they now?
Well, I was going to tell you.
Why didn't they make the cut?
Well,
Where's the guy that played that role? Where is he now? Right? Did you serve him well? Because there you would find the answer is the reason why some guys are backing off.
I know I'm rare, but I do think it's a huge missed opportunity that men are passing on really good single moms like myself because they feel some type of way about it. And like she said, that's your prerogative. But you're also missing the most feminine, nurturing woman on the planet, or that I've been told.
A really solid alpha it can put up a really good risk-benefit analysis, right?
There you go.
So if the woman is a great exception to the rule, you freaking head over heels more than anything you've ever felt in your life, that could be different.
Yeah.
But for the average single mother that you meet, a very basic risk-benefit analysis that you could look on data that's already available, you could look at the situation that you're presented with, probably not the safest route to go.
I think the truth is that's what we're all doing.
And that's
every
what
day.
Right, and that's a
and
normal
that's
thing to
fine.
do.
Yeah,
That's a
that's fine.
responsible thing to do, and I think
no
that's what an
one's
alpha would do at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So for me is you have to take a lot into consideration that a woman, the child doesn't make her. So, a woman can give you a lot of things, and what a woman with a kid can give you is a lot of experience. So you won't have to deal with the bullshit because we've been through that already. So we're very straightforward, and we'll get to the point. We want what we want, and that's it.
I feel like a good mother will prioritize their kid no matter what, though, right? And so for a man, if you're not okay with that, if you want to be number one, you're not going to be down with that.
What I'm saying is they have the ability to be very selfless and put that man first.
They have the ability, sure, but will they? A woman that has kids can be more experienced, but will they learn from that experience and use it in a way that will better the relationship? Appreciate what the man is doing by coming in and pouring into a family and kids that aren't his biologically.
Yes, I know there's some ladies out there that are going to be like, not all women are like that. There's unicorns out there. Congratulations. Your unicorn ribbon is in the mail. It's coming your way. But on a balance of probabilities, these are the 5 most important things, guys, that you really, really need to be a hell of a lot more attentive to so you don't wind up in a situation where you can't function or you have some issues getting over a lost one, usually the single mom. Number 1, cuckoldry. Usually the biggest reward when it comes to children is the fact that they carry your DNA and your last name. That's what the consistency is when it comes to cuckoldry is, yeah, it is important, but it's so important to men as fathers that they know that their name is passed on. Right? They know that their name carries meaning and that name with its DNA is passed on. And when you get involved with a single mom and you start to raise her kids, you're basically raising another man's children. You're a cuck. There's animals in the wild that'll basically drop their eggs in the nest of other birds, more specifically, and those dumb birds will raise the eggs that are hatched as their own. They don't pay attention to the details. And that's really what guys get themselves into when they get wound up with single moms is they end up getting cuckolded, where they end up essentially applying their tools, resources, and everything to the genetic investment of another man. The second problem with getting involved on a long-term basis with single moms, fellas, is you've got 100% responsibility with 0% authority. What I mean by that is when the children, her children specifically, need something, resources, your time to fix something, cars broken, tuition's due for college or university or something like that, they're our children. But when it comes time to discipline them or to enforce boundaries, most guys often find that they're her children at that time. And that's not a great deal for guys because you're basically used like an ATM. You're used to facilitate her new world order, the conditions that she wants her children to live in, to benefit from specifically. So understand that if you do get involved with a single mom, not only one, are you being cucked, but number two, for the most part, you're going to end up having 100% responsibility with no authority. Don't work out. She wants to bounce and ends the relationship. He may have, during that period of time, paid off all of her debt, paid for tuition, school, things for her kids, and he can be on the hook over the long term for child support for children that aren't even his. The third one is the victim mindset. And if you're involved with somebody that has a victim mindset, people with a victim mindset simply cannot be happy. They're always going to be looking for an oppressor. They're always going to be looking for a villain. Anybody seeking a villain in life is always going to have a hard time with that. Now, you may not immediately be who she deems to be that problem or that villain, for example, but at some point in the future, you're a man, she's a woman, and feminism isn't particularly warm to masculinity in men these days, if you haven't noticed. You need to be aware that there's going to be issues with victim mindset. You're also going to end up dealing with it with her children. Let me give you a good example. So we talked earlier about authority without responsibility. If you want to exercise some authority, let's say, and enforce some boundaries, let's say her kids are behaving badly, maybe they're becoming bratty, they're maybe a little entitled, there's something that requires some, reeling in. You got to put some boundaries around it, and you try to enforce them. A lot of the times, because her mom already, because the kid's mom already subscribes to a victim mindset, they're automatically going to default to that because that's what they know. They're children. They don't know any better, right? They're always a product of their environment. So if mom subscribes to a victim mindset, has issues with patriarchy or whatever narrative that she might be using, her ex is a bum, he is a loser, which is an interesting thing, by the way, because she's the one that picked him. At the end of the day, she's the one that decided to, it's men that propose to women, and she says, I do. So why would she do that? But that's an entirely different topic. But at the end of the day, the kids will also use nearly the same strategy on their mom. And then again, that's when you'll find that, you've got kids that are no longer ours, but they're now hers. And when you try to enforce the boundaries, the emotional manipulation that comes out of that with her kids is going to be problematic for you. It's going to be exhausting. All right, let's move on to number 4. So number 4 is financial issues. It's not like, you guys are going to find yourself splitting bills. What'll usually end up happening is some story or some narrative is going to come out about how her kids want to meet you. Then you start going out, and you're no longer buying her dinner. You're buying her and her kids dinner. You're no longer, taking a vacation with her down south. All of a sudden, her kids are in tow, and you're looking after them. You're feeding them. You're entertaining them, which gives you a lot less time for yourself. All right, and the 5th and last one that I want to cover is the reprioritization of your time and your purpose in life. If you guys have followed me for a while on my channel, you guys know that I'm often talking about finding your purpose, putting a dent in the universe, and making sure that you've got some impact in life. And one of the things that you'll notice will end up happening if you do get involved with a single mom and ignore my advice is you're going to end up having to reprioritize yourself in the pecking order. I always tell guys that if you're going to allow a woman to enter your life, she should be a complement to it and not the focus.
When you look at a lot of these guys, right, they have, if you're looking at guys over 6 figures, they either have a good job, successful budding career, or they're an entrepreneur, or they're someone who can make things happen, and they know a good deal when they see one. A lot of these guys are looking at it and saying, wait a second, this isn't a good deal for me. This is not even close to a good deal for me. This is something that I'm spending a lot of my energy, I'm spending a lot of my money and focus towards something that doesn't serve me in the least. And notice, this isn't just a black man, it's pretty much across all cultures, especially in Western society. The thing about valuable men that have direction, some ambition, a sense of purpose, he's gonna wanna be a priority in a woman's life. She has to consider him in much of what she does in life going forward with him in a relationship. If he's a low priority, that's a net loss in his eyes. For many women, if you say have 2 kids and a pet, a man may come forth in priority in the household while being such a high impact on the family overall. The bottom line, I think single mothers have to present a good bargain. a good reason why you should be with them. They should be pushing to bring more value than the average woman. The issue I see is many times these women drive a hard bargain and ask for far too much. All things being equal, most men will choose the woman without kids. I think when a guy asks, what does it benefit him to raise another man's kids, it may sound raw and uncut, but again, many men just want women to understand the negative impact that it can cause a man throughout the course of the relationship, not to mention the emotional risk a stepfather could take when the relationship falters. We see it time and time again when the stepfather is cut off and all his resources invested are for naught. Quickly, everything can turn against him with nothing to show for it in some cases. And women say, you're choosing a single mother, so you're choosing a child that comes with the mother. And this directly reflects what many single mothers believe wholeheartedly. And they believe that there are guys who date and want single mothers, so many times these women will just pass blame and refuse to improve what they offer. And absolutely, some guys will date or commit to single mothers, even with the bad ROI. But you know what? It would also increase the amount of quality men if they made themselves that much more valuable. Not just in the money you make, but how you treat your man as well, and fulfilling what he needs. That being said, let me know what y'all think. Get at me in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Bang on that like button. And until next time, be easy. Gone.